Let's discuss all the angles with Kimberly Dozier. She's a CNN Global Affairs analyst. Also with us, Andrew Miller, a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Israeli-Palestinian Affairs. Andrew, as we await this Situation Room meeting to hear details from what comes of it, what is it like to be in the room? What kind of options do you think they're presenting to President Trump right now?
Well, in addition to presenting potential military options for engaging Fordow, the facility in Iran that is embedded in a mountain and difficult to reach, you have to anticipate the consequences and take necessary contingency actions to protect against them. There is a very real risk that Iran could retaliate to an American strike by going after U.S. military facilities located in the Gulf or against energy facilities of Gulf Arab states. And unlike with Israel, you don't have the same missile defense architecture in place. It's much shorter too. It's harder from a physics perspective to intercept these weapons over a shorter distance than over a longer distance, fewer opportunities. So they need to be ready not just for the first punch, but for the counter punch.
Yeah, such good points. Kim, would the arguments be for U.S. involvement and against?
They will probably never have another opportunity to strike Iran's nuclear and other facilities without Iranian air defense as a threat. Israel has gone in and cleared out much of the threat. The Iranians have been, according to the Israelis, focusing on moving some of their missile launchers to safer areas, which only exposes them, and then they get taken out. And you can see right now that the Israelis seem to be striking even the Iranian Defense Ministry's manufacturing capability, which is largely in Western Tehran, including centrifuge construction. So the Israelis are not only clearing the field for a potential American penetrator, bunker buster strike on Fordow, but they're also just making the entire area just easy pickings to next probably go after the energy infrastructure to leave Iran crippled not only militarily, but energy and economically wise, so that they have to come to the negotiating table.
There's also a question of whether the Ayatollah, the supreme leader, is going to be targeted directly. Our reporting indicates that Israel laid that out as an option initially, that President Trump didn't want to go that route. But now today you have him on social media saying that he knows where the supreme leader is. We know where the supreme leader is. I mean, that is a tacit threat.
Yeah, that's saying that you are only staying alive because we want you to be alive to negotiate with us. And from the Supreme Leader's perspective, there was reporting that they had reached out saying that they wanted to talk, but it looks like, ironically, the Trump administration is taking the tack that Mike Waltz, the former national security advisor, had tried to push for, defang them first, and then force them to the negotiating table.
Andrew, this talk, though, about the Ayatollah, now you're into that zone of talking about assassination, right? At least sort of exploring that territory, which is not generally where the U.S. is supposed to be.
That's correct. And both from a legal perspective, there are challenges dating back to President Ford, but also from a policy perspective. If the objective is to intervene in Iran for the purpose of eliminating the nuclear program, but avoiding a regime change with unpredictable consequences, any discussion of taking out the supreme leader is going to raise doubts in Iranian minds about U.S. intentions. It's going to be harder to avoid misperceptions about what the U.S. is doing. And I'm personally afraid that we're forgetting the lessons of the last 25 years in the region. For as vile and despicable as the Islamic Republic is, there's no guarantee that whatever would replace it would be any better from an Iranian perspective, an Israeli perspective, or a U.S. perspective.
Kim, isn't this now almost a self-fulfilling prophecy or a trap for the U.S. if they don't completely eliminate Iran's ability to enrich uranium? Because if they don't, you'll have the hardliners justifying reaching for a nuclear weapon even faster given these attacks.
I think you're going to have the hardliners pushing for that either way, but what this series of strikes is aimed at doing is setting back Iran decades. If they use the bunker busters on Fordow, U.S. bunker busters, which are carried by the B-2s, can reach about 80 meters, about 60 meters, and the tunnels go about 80 meters, but they could pretty thoroughly destroy all the approaches to whatever's buried in that last 20 meters and just make it really difficult, together with reports that the Israelis have not only killed nuclear scientists, but stolen the backup of the nuclear archive, the how-to instructions. So the idea is kneecap them at every point. Then the question remains, though, okay, when they emerge out of this kneecapped, what if Russia, or more likely North Korea, comes to their aid and says, you want nukes? We've got nukes.
Well, yeah, and that raises obviously a very big concern. What do you think the dynamic shift is if Iran, Andrew, is set back decades?
I'm very skeptical that Iran would be set back decades. The Israelis themselves are saying they're hoping for 2 to 4 years. It's worth noting that the JCPOA, which President Trump withdrew from, provided a 1-year breakout time. So we're not talking about orders of magnitude greater assurance than what existed previously. He's partly undoing what he has already done. But if the Iranian program is set back, it is reversible in that knowledge can't be destroyed. Yes, they've assassinated scientists, but there are others who understand how to make these centrifuges, understand how to convert uranium into metal, and importantly, the highly enriched uranium, 900 pounds worth, that is only a couple weeks away from reaching weapons grade, as far as we know, has been untouched. If that remains in Iranian hands, once the centrifuges are back up and running, we could be faced with a very narrow breakout time. And that is the question here. Is this tactical military success going to translate into an enduring success? Israel faces the same problem in Gaza. The United States and Israel could encounter it in Iran.
Andrew, Kimberly, thank you so much. Great insights. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And still to come, members of Congress are calling